If every library on Earth vanished overnight, which single book could be restored, letter by letter, from the living memory of millions by sunrise? For many historians of religion and students of language, the answer is the Quran, recited daily by over 1 billion Muslims, memorized cover to cover by people of every age, background, and language. That alone is remarkable. But what if the real wonder isn't just that the Quran survived? It's how it arrived, how it shaped those who first heard it, and how its words still seem to speak into the very fabric of our world.
In the annals of history, scholars and seekers have always looked for something more, for a deeper understanding of our purpose.
Picture this: a lonely cave on a mountain above Mecca, a man seeking silence, truth, and mercy. A voice, commanding yet compassionate, tells him to read. He cannot. The voice comes again, and with it begins a 23-year conversation that would reorder a society, refine a civilization, and ripple across continents and centuries. Tonight, we'll journey from that first whisper in Cave Hira through the turbulent Meccan years, the building of a new community in Madinah, the meticulous preservation and compilation of the Quran, and the living, breathing network that still safeguards every syllable. Along the way, we'll explore verses that many find strikingly aligned with modern scientific observations, not because the Quran is a lab manual, but because it invites us to look at the cosmos and ourselves with wonder, intellect, and humility. And there's a promise, stay to the end, and you'll hear a secret of the Quran's preservation that most people never get to hear. A living chain, an actual line of teachers to students that connects a recitation you could learn today back, name by name, to the Prophet Muhammad. Peace and blessings be upon him. It's not myth, it's audible history. This is the story of the Quran. How words became a revolution of character, how a revelation became a civilization, and how a recited book continues to speak, comfort, challenge, and illuminate today. The man rushes home shaking. Cover me, cover me. His wife, Khadija, pillar of wisdom, wraps him, steadies him, reminds him who he is. You uphold kinship. You carry the burdens of others. You give to the destitute. You honor your guests. You stand with truth. She takes him to her cousin, Waraka ibn Nawfal, a learned man of earlier scripture. Waraka listens and says words that foretell both hope and hardship. This is the same Namus, the angel of revelation, that came to Moses. Your people will oppose you and drive you out. It is a prediction reported in sound narrations and fulfilled within years. Revelation pauses. The stillness hurts. The weight of what happened presses on him. Then it resumes, with tenderness and urgency intertwined. O you who covers himself, arise and warn. 74:1.
يا أيها المدثر قم فأنذر وربك فكبر وثيابك فطهر والرجز فاهجر.
O you wrapped up, stand the night, except a little. 73:1. He rises, he stands, he prays until his feet swell, not because God is harsh, far from it, but because the Quran arrives as discipline that blossoms into peace.
يا أيها المزمل قم الليل إلا قليلا.
The Meccan years unfold like a storm learning to speak. At first, the call is quiet, intimate. Khadija believes immediately. A young cousin, Ali, barely in his teens, embraces the message. A freed man, Zaid ibn Haritha, and a dear friend, Abu Bakr, join. One by one, they gather in a small house known as Dar al-Arqam to learn the words as they descend. Verses about a single God, moral courage, care for the weak, accountability after death. and the worth of a human soul. The Quran in this phase is a wind that cleanses idols from within hearts before it topples idols in stone.
Saying, we believe in what has been revealed to you and what has been revealed to us. Our God and your God is one, and to him we submit. Yet many Muslims today say something very different.
Do you know what made me assured that Islam is true, basically?
How?
For me, what made me assured that Islam is true is basically the Quran.
It is a way of life. The Quran is the divine speech of Allah, which is unchanged. It is guidance for all of mankind.
The mountain watches over Makkah like a sentinel. Jabal al-Nur, the mountain of light. Inside, a small cleft called Hira. On a night that would later be called the Night of Power, a 40-year-old man named Muhammad, known among his people as Al-Amin, the trustworthy, is alone, praying and reflecting. Arabia is weary. Tribal feuds, idol worship, exploitation of the poor, forgotten orphans, buried infant girls, and a sense that truth has been scattered into too many gods and too little mercy. He seeks silence. Instead, he finds a voice. Read. Iqra. I am not a reader, he answers. The voice. Jibril, the angel Gabriel, embraces him, not to hurt, but to deliver something weighty. Again. Read. And then, words rush into the world like light cracking through stone. Read. In the name of your Lord, who created man from a clinging thing. Read, and your Lord is the most generous, who taught by the pen, taught man what he did not know. Quran 96, 1-5. Then comes the public call. The Quran confronts injustice and challenges the certainty of those who trade, gamble, and abuse power, thinking God is distant. It tells stories of Noah, Abraham, Moses, Mary, not as folklore, but as moral mirrors. In a society of poets, its cadence cuts through like nothing anyone has heard. Some mock, others are moved, a few are furious. Persecution follows. Slaves are beaten under the sun. A man named Bilal is pinned under stones and ordered to renounce the One. He replies with a single word, over and over, Ahad, Ahad, One, One. The Quran speaks to him, and he speaks back with the courage it births. To protect the vulnerable, the Prophet sends a small band across the sea to Abyssinia, Christian Ethiopia. The king, the Negus, hears a recitation from Surah Maryam, verses about Mary's purity and the miraculous birth of Jesus. He weeps and offers sanctuary. This is the Quran's first migration, from Arabia to Africa, from oppression to protection, across lines of religion and race. Years later, grief descends. Khadijah passes. Abu Talib, the Prophet's uncle and protector, dies. It's called the Year of Sorrow. In that darkness, a radiant consolation arrives, the night journey and ascension. The Quran honors the earthly part with light words and a vow. Glory be to him who took his servant by night from the sacred mosque to the farthest mosque, whose precincts we have blessed, to show him of our signs. 17:1. Sound narrations describe how the Prophet was carried on Buraq from Makkah to Jerusalem, led prophets in prayer, and ascended Miraj, where the 5 daily prayers were established.
سبحان الذي أسرى بعبده ليلا من المسجد الحرام إلى المسجد الأقصى.
A gift with a rhythm that still anchors believers' days. The details are transmitted in rigorously authenticated reports, and they mark a pivot. Worship becomes a clock that keeps the heart on time. Opposition in Makkah hardens. So the Quran plants a new seed in the city north called Yathrib, soon to be Madinah. Representatives from its tribes meet the Prophet at night. pledge to support him, and invite him to migrate. When an assassination plot forms against him in Makkah, he slips away with Abu Bakr. They hide in a cave, Thor this time, not Hira, as hunters pass inches away. Do not grieve. Indeed, God is with us, he says. It is a line that has calmed hearts for 14 centuries. Madinah is not a retreat. It's a laboratory for a living Quran. The Prophet builds a simple mosque, establishes brotherhood between natives, the Ansar, and migrants, the Muhajirun, and drafts a covenant that recognizes the rights of diverse tribes and faith communities. The Quran begins to reveal laws of ethics and social order, charity, zakah, to purify wealth and uplift the poor, fasting, 2:183, to discipline desires and awaken the soul, the direction of prayer, 2:144, changing from Jerusalem to Makkah, rules of family, inheritance, contracts, justice, war and peace. It's a code without becoming a cold code, always returning to sincerity, excellence and mercy. There are battles, Badr, Uhud, the trench. Through each, the Quran shapes character, patience in setback, humility in victory, restraint with enemies, and protection for those outside the fight. Fight in the way of God, those who fight you, but do not transgress, it commands, 2:190. This is war ethics, 9 centuries before the Geneva Conventions, making sanctity of life and limits of force non-negotiable. When victory finally arrives with the peaceful entry into Makkah, there is no mass revenge. Idols fall, old grudges loosen, and a general amnesty is declared. Mercy triumphs where power could have boasted. The revelation's rhythm, sound before ink. Amid all this, the Quran descends not as a bound book, but as living sound, recited by the Prophet, absorbed by hearts, and written down on parchment, bone, and palm stalks by designated scribes. Names you'll recognize, and some you might not, were part of that earliest preservation. Zayd ibn Thabit, Ubay ibn Ka'b, Ali ibn Abi Talib, Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, and others. Every Ramadan, the angel Gabriel would review the Quran with the Prophet in the final year of the Prophet's life. This review occurred twice, a fact reported in authentic hadith, and later remembered by those who carried the Quran forward. Order and placement of verses within chapters were taught expressly. The arrangement of the chapters, though not chronological, was guided and known to the companions. What was the last verse? Scholars differ. Many point to a verse revealed at the farewell pilgrimage. Today I have perfected for you your religion, completed my favor upon you, and approved for you Islam as your way, 5:3. Others cite 2:81, revealed very late. What's important is that the Quran's legal and spiritual project was complete. In his final sermon, the Prophet emphasized sacred life and property, the rights of women, brotherhood beyond blood, and the unity of humanity under one God. Then, not long after, he returned to his Lord. From sound to codex, the first compilation. The Quran had already been written in pieces and memorized in full by many. But an event jolted the community, the Battle of Yamama, where a number of memorizers were killed. Umar ibn al-Khattab urged the first Caliph, Abu Bakr, to commission a careful compilation. Zayd ibn Thabit, young, brilliant, meticulous, was tasked to collect every verse from written fragments and from those who had learned directly from the Prophet, requiring 2 witnesses where possible. This wasn't about doubt, it was about documentation. The result was a codex, Mushaf, kept first with Abu Bakr, then Umar, and after Umar's passing, with his daughter Hafsa, a mother of the believers. Years later, with Islam expanding and new non-Arab communities reciting the Quran, dialectal differences risked confusion in public recitation. The third caliph, Uthman ibn Affan, consulted companions and standardized the written text according to the Quraysh dialect, the Prophet's dialect, appointing committees, again led by Zaid, to produce several identical copies. He sent these to the major centers, Madinah, Mecca, Kufa, Basra, and Sham, along with expert reciters, and asked that other personal copies with variant notations be set aside to protect the unity of recitation. It was a preservationist's decision, not censorship, a way to safeguard one revealed text alongside its permitted modes of recitation. Over time, dots and vowel marks were added to the consonantal skeleton to assist non-Arab readers. Early efforts are attributed to Abu al-Aswad al-Duwali, with refinements by later scholars. This didn't alter the consonants. It clarified pronunciation within the boundaries taught by the Prophet. In the centuries that followed, scholars codified canonical readings, qira'at, transmitted by mass chains tawatur. 7 became widely known, later expanded to 10 authoritative readings. All flow from the same Uthmanic codex, differing in matters of vocalization, slight lexical choices or pauses, all within the Prophet's teaching. Manuscripts and memory, the twin tracks. What do the manuscripts say? Early Quranic fragments astonish paleographers. The Birmingham folios, radiocarbon dated to the Prophet's lifetime, or shortly after, mid-6th to mid-7th century CE, contain text identical in content to today's Quran. The Sana al-Palimpsest, an early codex with an erased undertext, reveals in its upper layer the standard text. In the undertext, minor orthographic and arrangement differences consistent with early transmission and readings, but nothing that changes core meaning or theology. Large Kufij manuscripts, like those preserved in Topkapi Palace and Tashkent, are traditionally linked to Uthman's copies. Whether or not these exact volumes belong to Uthman personally, they are early witnesses to the same consonantal text. But here is the more compelling fact. Islam's first line of defense was never ink, it was sound. The Quran calls itself a recitation, and the Prophet taught it as an oral scripture, lips to ears, heart to heart. Memorization wasn't a hobby. It was a communal craft, with reciters certified by teachers through written licenses, ijaza, that included chains of transmission back to the Prophet. That living isnad continues today. The Quran's preservation is the story of millions of hearts beating in the same rhythm. The Quran's voice in the world, purpose, law, beauty. What did the Quran do to people? It made them read creation differently. The desert sky became a revelation, every star a sign. The weak mattered because God said they mattered. Contracts were sacred because words were sacred. Knowledge became an act of devotion. The Quran says, "Are those who know equal to those who do not know?" 39:9. It asks, do they not reflect? More times than it gives legal commands. It narrates the life of Mary with respect that startled Christians and humbled pagans. It speaks of Jesus, not as God, but as God's word, born of a miracle, servant of the most merciful, Messiah, honored. It defends his mother's honor with an intensity that still moves non-Muslim listeners. It also taught that the self is a landscape to explore. There is a nafs that commands to evil, and there is a nafs that blames itself and strives, and a nafs at peace. 12:53, 89:27. The greatest miracle, the Quran suggests, is not in splitting seas, but in stitching a torn soul into wholeness. Signs in the horizons and within yourselves. Science and the Quranic imagination. Now, a careful word. Muslims see the Quran as a book of guidance, not a science textbook. Its purpose is to align a human being with God, with truth, and with mercy. Yet, for centuries, scholars and ordinary readers have noticed something intriguing. Certain verses that invite observation of the natural world appear to resonate with modern discoveries, not in the sense of formulae and lab protocols, but as signposts, ayat, that point both outward and inward. Let's explore some of the most commonly discussed examples with nuance and respect for scholarship. The expanding heavens. The Quran says, "We built the heaven with might, and we are indeed its expander." 51:47. Classical commentators understood this to mean the vastness and power of the sky. Many modern readers hear in it an echo of cosmic expansion, the observation that the universe has been stretching out since the Big Bang, while ancient exegesis didn't frame it in astrophysics. The verse's wording gracefully accommodates what we now see through telescopes. Either way, it invites awe. The heavens are not static ceilings, but dynamic, purposeful space, a cosmic origin from unity. Have those who disbelieve not seen that the heavens and the earth were a joined entity and we split them asunder? 21:30. The Quran continues, "And we made from water every living thing." The language is poetic and powerful. Some relate this to a primordial unity of matter and energy, followed by separation and formation. Again, the Quran's goal is not to teach cosmology, but to provoke reflection, and it lands across centuries with eerie aptness. A sky of smoke. Then he turned to the heaven when it was smoke. 41:11. The imagery of early cosmic matter as Tukan, smoke, aligns intriguingly with a hot gaseous particle-filled state in early universe models. It's evocative more than empirical, but the resonance is striking. Orbits and order. The sun and the moon, each sails in an orbit. 21:33. Also 36:40. To a desert observer, day and night were great, dependable pendulums. The Quran calls attention to that order, and today we know more precisely how the sun, planets, and moons move. The verses picture celestial bodies swimming in a defined course remains beautifully apt. The water cycle. Have you not seen that God sends down water from the sky, then channels it as springs in the earth? Then he brings forth with it crops of different colors. 39:21. Also 30:48, 24:43. The Quran frequently points to evaporation, condensation, rain, and runoff in simple, accessible language, encouraging gratitude toward a cycle that sustains life. Barriers between bodies of water. He released the two seas, meeting side by side. Between them is a barrier they do not transgress. 55:19-20. And he is the one who merged the two bodies of water, one fresh and sweet, one salty and bitter, and placed between them a barrier and an impassable partition. 25:53. Oceanographers identify haloclines and thermoclines, where waters of different salinity or temperature meet yet resist immediate mixing. Again, not a lab note, an invitation to marvel at edges in nature. Life from a clinging stage. On human development, the Quran describes stages: a drop, nutfa, a clinging thing, alaka, a chewed-like lump, mudga, then bones clothed in flesh. 23:12-14. Medieval exegetes took these as moral and metaphysical descriptions, Modern readers note that an embryo does cling to the uterine wall and at a certain stage bears a striking resemblance to a chewed-like form. It's fair to say the Quran's imagery aligns suggestively with what microscopic science later revealed. Equally fair to say the point of the verses is awe at God's crafting of life. Bees and their work. And your Lord inspired the bee. 1668 to 69. The verbs addressing the bee here are grammatically feminine in Arabic. Worker bees, the ones that build, travel, and produce honey, are female. The Quran doesn't turn that into a zoology lesson. It simply paints the bee as a marvel, with honey in which there is healing for people. Iron sent down. We sent down iron, in which is great might and benefits for mankind. 57:25. Some take sent down literally, pointing to iron's extraterrestrial origins, in many cases as meteorites. Classical commentators often read it as bestowed. Both readings are linguistically plausible. The verse's heart is in iron's usefulness and symbolism of strength and justice. Skin and sensation. Those who disbelieve in our signs, we shall roast them in a fire. Every time their skins are burnt through, we shall replace them with other skins, so that they may taste the punishment. 456. Modern apologists note that skin contains pain receptors, and thus skin replacement aligns with the idea of renewed sensation. Classical exegesis didn't frame it neurobiologically, but the verse's emphasis on skin as the interface of pain is notable. Fingerprints. Yes, we are able to shape his fingertips. 75:4. Many contemporary readers link this to fingerprint uniqueness. Classical exegesis focused on bodily resurrection, down to fine details. The reflection still stands. The one who fashioned your most intricate features can refashion you. Mountains as stabilizers. Have we not made the earth a cradle, and the mountains as pegs? 78:6-7. Some read pegs as suggestive of deep roots stabilizing tectonic plates. Geologists debate the match. Classical commentators read it as figurative stability. Either way, the Quran's theme is balance and mercy in the earth's design. If we're cautious and humble, these reflections don't turn the Quran into a science book. They reveal a worldview that expects harmony between revelation and the natural world. The Quran urges us, we will show them our signs on the horizons and within themselves until it becomes clear to them that this is the truth. 41:53. That verse anchors both science and spirituality. A confident curiosity married to reverence. How the Quran speaks to today. History is beautiful, but what about now? The Quran was revealed into tribal Arabia, and yet its moral grammar speaks with stunning relevance into our modern discontents. Meaning, in a noisy age, many feel mentally exhausted, spiritually homeless. The Quran's opening, Al-Fatiha, begins with gratitude, aligns the self with mercy, and asks for guidance with elegant simplicity. It's a daily reset. In a culture of almost, it offers clarity without cruelty, justice and the vulnerable. From orphans to debtors to strangers, the Quran elevates those at the edges. Stand firmly for justice as witnesses to God, even if against yourselves. 4:135. That's not a slogan. It's a discipline that calls out hypocrisy. Ours first. Ecology and trust. The Quran calls humans Khalifa, stewards on earth. It condemns waste, israf, land corruption, facade, and celebrates balance in mizan. Climate anxiety finds a counter, not denial or despair, but responsibility with hope, knowledge and humility. The Quran honors learning, yet warns against arrogance. Its prophets ask questions. Its verses often end with, "Perhaps you will reflect." In the age of AI and instant answers, it invites slow thought, family, and the heart. It doesn't romanticize relationships. It speaks of marriage as love and mercy, of patience with parents, of kindness even in separation. It takes the heart seriously, not as an emoji, but as the organ of moral perception, anxiety, and stillness. Many find in recitation a measurable calm. The Quran promises, truly, in the remembrance of God do hearts find rest. 1328. That's not an escape. It's fuel for the next act of goodness. How it's still preserved. Right now, you can step into a madrasa in Fez, a mosque in Kuala Lumpur, a living room in Chicago, and see the same scene repeated. A teacher listening, a student reciting, a slight nod as a sound lands just right. The Ijaza culture, certification by listening, still exists. A student recites the entire Quran to a master who corrects even the length of a vowel, then writes a license that includes a chain of names all the way back to the Prophet. It isn't mystical, it's rigorous, sometimes spanning months or years, sometimes requiring tears. The Quran remains the only major religious text where mass memorization in the original language is a living tradition across the globe. And the manuscripts. Digital archives now allow scholars to compare early fragments with modern printed mushas line by line. The consonantal skeleton is stable. Variations exist, spelling conventions, script styles, differences known within the Qira'at tradition. But the Quran that a child memorizes in Lagos is recognizably the same as one memorized in Lahore or London. A living book, not just a book. The Quran is unusual among books. Its form is sacred. Its sound is worship. Its meaning is moral. And its impact is civilization. When Muslims talk about the miracle of the Quran, they mean multiple layers. Its language, inimitable Arabic that stunned master poets and continues to resist literary imitation. Its transformation, people of the Prophet's time testify that these words reshaped character and community. Its preservation, words kept through sound and script, redundant systems reinforcing one truth. Its continued relevance, verses that meet a modern person's heart in ways that feel fresh without being trendy. Its invitation, not believe blindly, but look, think, care, act. And yes, for many, those scientific harmonies are part of the wonder, not proofs in a laboratory sense, but reminders that the author of the book and the author of the cosmos are one. The surprise we promised, a living chain. You're about to hear something rare. When a student completes the Quran with a master, they receive an ijaza that lists the teachers of the teacher all the way back. Here is one of several commonly cited lines, simplified and representative. Consider the most widely read transmission in the Muslim world today. The reading of Hafs an Asim. Hafs ibn Sulaiman al-Kufi died 180. A.H. learned the Quran from Asim ibn Abi al-Najud died 127 A.H. who learned from Abu Abd al-Rahman al-Sulami died 74 A.H. and Zir ibn Hubaysh died 82 A.H. who learned from Uthman ibn Affan, Ali ibn Abi Talib, Zayd ibn Thabit, and Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, companions who learned directly from the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, who received it from the angel Gabriel by God's command. There are other lines, Wash from Nafi, for example, widely read across North and West Africa, each with its own unbroken chain. The point is not the names themselves, it's the fact that this is not a metaphor. The Quran is carried by a human chain you can name, hear, and join. As we close, a few key takeaways to carry with you. The Quran began as sound in a cave, a mercy calling a man, then a people, to wakefulness, courage, and compassion. Across 23 years, it shaped hearts in Makkah, built institutions in Medina, and taught that law without mercy is cruelty, and mercy without law is sentimentality. It was preserved with care. Memorizers by the thousands, scribes by the dozens, committees by the caliphs, and scholars through the ages, so that what you hold today matches what they heard then. It invites you to read both the book and the world, to see signs in the sky, in rain, in bees, in your own breath, and to respond with gratitude, justice, and service. Its miracles are many: literary, moral, spiritual, historical, and for many, the harmony with natural observations is part of the awe. But the greatest miracle may be what it makes of you. What does this mean for your life right now? If you feel scattered, open Al-Fatiha slowly and mean every line. Let it set your compass for the day. If you feel numb, choose a short surah and recite it aloud for a week. Notice how sound and meaning begin to soften what's hardened. If you're hungry for knowledge, pick one theme: justice, mercy, family, ecology, and explore how the Quran speaks to it. Pair recitation with action. Check on a neighbor, forgive a debt, recycle, call your parents, plant a tree. If you're curious about science and faith, let the Quran spark wonder. Marvel at the cosmos without pretending every verse is a physics formula. Reverence and reason are friends here. And here's an invitation, not a plea. If this journey gave you clarity, comfort, or curiosity, consider joining our community, Veritas Frame. Each week, we dive into the Quran and Sunnah and bring their wisdom into modern life with careful research, beautiful storytelling, and practical steps you can actually use. Your subscription doesn't just chase numbers. It helps us craft content that matters, mentor new researchers, and keep these long-form, carefully sourced episodes free for anyone who needs them. Before you go, remember the first word: read. Ikra se, not just text, but life. Read your days with God's name at the beginning. Read the skies without forgetting the earth. Read the hurts of others and be their relief. And read the Quran as if it's speaking to you, because it is. May the one who sent down this recitation make it light in our homes, courage in our actions, and healing in our hearts. Until next time, peace be upon you.